Hello, here's Best Guy with another top 5 video. So Mission Impossible Fallout is coming out, or it probably is already out by the time this video has been uploaded out to YouTube. Say what you will about the guy. Say what you will about him being crazy, a Scientologist cult crazy fanatic. I think he's the equivalent of an American Jackie Chan in terms of the stunts that he does. He doesn't have someone else do his stunts. He doesn't have CGI in his movies. He actually still does his stunts in his 50s. This guy's pretty older, doing a lot of the crazy shit. Even that stunt that you saw in the trailer where he jumps from one building to the other and he broke his foot, he kept it in the movie. Guys, was really bonkers when it comes to doing all this shit. But so we're going to do the top 5 Tom Cruise movies. There's a lot of movies. And please don't go crazy. Oh, why did you mention The Firm? Why did you mention Eyes Wide Shut? Why did you mention Magnolia? What about Vanilla Sky? You know, all those movies, whatever, you know, each one has their good things. But I can't mention every movie. This is best top 5. This is not best top 25. All right, give me a break.
What about Top Gun 2? Why isn't it on this list?
It's not out yet. Give me a break.
What about Collateral?
Hey, Collateral was good. I should have put that on the list. Number 5, we have Mission Impossible, released in 1996, directed by Brian De Palma. Brian De Palma is a really good director. He's done movies that if you haven't seen, you should see. Movies like Dressed to Kill. He also did Scarface, which he was written by Oliver Stone and was directed by Brian De Palma. The thing with Mission Impossible is that each sequel had a different director. Mission Impossible 2 had John Woo, Mission Impossible 3 had J.J. Abrams, and Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol had Brad Bird, and Mission Impossible 5 and the new one are directed by Christopher McQuarrie. This is the only time that the director has come back for another sequel. But the first one is the one that established the big 1996 mega blockbuster that it was, and it's a spy movie, and I love spy movies that are done genuinely and don't go over the top, which was the case with Mission Impossible 2, which I enjoy for different reasons. I don't enjoy it as a good movie. I enjoy it ironically. It's really over the top. But the first one, it's a classic spy film. At the time, a lot of people didn't like it because it was very different to the TV show. And you're saying, there was a TV show? I didn't know it was a TV show. There was a TV show. In the 1960s, there was a TV show, and it ran from 1960-something all the way to the 80s. And it was actually revived again in 1988. So the show was popular, and it was very grounded in reality, and each episode brought characters trying to solve different scenarios that are almost impossible. So there's a common trope and a dumb joke that I always see on Facebook. Why is it called Mission Impossible if they always succeed in the mission? Get the fuck out of here. It's just called Mission Impossible because it's almost impossible to do these defeats. The first movie with Brian De Palma has Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt trying to uncover a mole. There's someone in the IMF, the Impossible Mission Force, who might be a double agent, but we don't know who it is. And there's a list called the knock list, which has all the active agents, and it's being sold in the black market. Now, here's a curious thing which I've noticed. This plot was kind of used in Skyfall, where someone has a list of all the active agents and they're going to sell it into the black market, but it's not really the pivotal part of that film, whereas in this movie, it's actually the whole plot of the movie. Tom Cruise's character has to find a way to survive after being disavowed, and after everyone thinks now that he is really the mole when in fact he isn't. And he has to work with the enemies. One of the characters' name is Max, who is one of the people interested in buying the knock list. Now Tom Cruise has to ensemble a group of people to do a big heist to steal the actual knock list that is in the CIA headquarters in Langley. So we have Jean Reno as one of the people who are going to help with the security. You have Ving Rhames also in charge of camera, and then you have Tom Cruise trying to get the actual list. I like this movie for the angles, the directing, the tension, the music from Lalo Schifrin, which was also used in the TV show, and it has a great use of a twist, which a lot of people didn't like because it went against the original show, but I like it in this movie because it's doing its own thing. It took risks. So Mission Impossible 1, the 1996 film, is on my number 5 list. Number 4 is a 1980s coming-of-age movie called Risky Business. This movie, you know, it's funny because now this movie, if it was made today, it would be something like Project X or 21 and over, and it would be really shitty, really stupid. But with Risky Business, Tom Cruise is playing this character who just wants to have a big party. His parents are kind of overprotective. The parents are leaving out of the country, and they're leaving the big responsibility of taking care of the house, not messing anything up. And now Tom Cruise, his character, is going to have the night of his life. And it's very simplistic, but it's great. It has good soundtrack. It has memorable scenes. That whole scene where he's sliding through the room and doing that dance bit from the song from Bob Seger is classic. And you have some good acting from Rebecca De Mornay, who you may know from The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. She plays this prostitute who falls for Tom Cruise's character, and you can actually believe this romance that they're having. And you also have Joe Pantoliano as playing the pimp and the guy who's trying to mess up this whole thing for Tom Cruise's character. I enjoy this movie. Definitely check it out on DVD or Blu-ray. I'm not sure if it's on any streaming platform, but do check it out. Number 3 is Edge of Tomorrow. This movie was directed by Doug Liman, who was the director of the first, and in my opinion, the best Bourne Identity film. Doug Liman is very underrated. He's done movies like Bourne Identity. He also did the movie Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and most of his action set pieces are very still. They're not shaky, which became very popular with the Bourne Supremacy and the Bourne Ultimatum, which were done by Paul Greengrass. Edge of Tomorrow sadly did not make enough money in the theaters. The movie that made the most money that year was Transformers: Age of Extinction, where you had Mark Wahlberg scream, "Yo, I found myself a Transformer!" And that shows you how dumb people are, and you go see these dumb Transformers movies, when in fact they should have gone to see Edge of Tomorrow. But sadly, the movie was too smart for most people. Even if you don't like Tom Cruise is playing an anti-Tom Cruise. What do I mean? Typically, Tom Cruise in most movies, he's on top of everything, he has this cool swag, you know, he is good at everything, and rarely, if ever, he's beaten. But here, he's playing someone completely different. When I watch the film, I don't really see Tom Cruise. I see actually a completely different person. He's playing a guy who's a coward, he's a general, he's just honoring his rank, and he does not want to fight on the line. He wants to send other people, but not himself. So there's an alien invasion, and what happens is he gets killed in the line of duty, but he wakes up the previous day in the same place that he was before, and things are happening over and over again. It's kind of a loop movie, like movies like Groundhog Day, or the recent horror film that came out, Happy Death Day, movies like that, where they follow a loop. And I like it because eventually the character of Tom Cruise meets someone else who is also has had that experience of the loop, but they don't remember it very well. Live, Die, and Repeat is actually the name of the comic book that it's based on, and that's what the title that they used for the Blu-ray release. The theatrical release name was Edge of Tomorrow. Check it out. It has great acting, and for once, actually, most of the time Tom Cruise plays the same character, but this is one of the rare times where he's playing someone completely different to what he typically plays in other movies. So much so that I forgot it was Tom Cruise playing this character. So number 2, we have Interview with the Vampire, based on the Anne Rice book. Here's a little pop quiz. In reality, Anne Rice did not want Tom Cruise to play Lestat. She wanted someone who did not look like Tom Cruise. She didn't want a pretty boy. She wanted someone who looked older, who had lived, who looks creepy and menacing. And again, Tom Cruise, much like Edge of Tomorrow, plays an anti-Tom Cruise. He plays someone who is not like the typical character that you see in all of his movies. He actually was faithful to the source material and plays someone who is very torn. He cannot change with the times. He's a very tortured soul, and he's very despicable. And again, much like in Edge of Tomorrow, I forgot that this was Tom Cruise playing this character. You also have Brad Pitt, and you have Kristen Dunst. You have a lot of great actors. This movie is very moody, it's very dark, and it goes through several years, several decades, and it's being told kind of in non-chronological order because it starts in modern day with Christian Slater interviewing the vampire, Brad Pitt, who's telling the story of what happened with him and Lestat. Sadly, this is the only one in the series that was good. Later they did Queen of the Damned, which I didn't really care for. Sadly, it was Aaliyah's last movie. But with Interview with the Vampire, while it's long, it has great cinematography, it has great acting, and also has Antonio Banderas. A lot of good acting, a lot of good directing. The other thing here to note is that Brad Pitt hated making this movie. So much so, because this was shot in London in Pinewood Studios, and he hated how cold and how dark the whole thing was. He told his agent, how much money do I have to pay to get off this fucking movie? So, and he couldn't get out. He had to finish the movie, and he was depressed and bored playing the role, and it actually worked because it was part of the role that he's playing. So it all worked out. But definitely check this out. Fuck Twilight and all these other shitty vampire stories. This is the one that you should definitely watch. Number 1 is a movie directed by Oliver Stone. Oliver Stone is a director that he has hits and he has misses. He has movies that I really like and he has movies that I really hate. For a movie like JFK, you'll have Natural Born Losers. I know a lot of people like Natural Born Losers. I hate that movie. I really dislike it. I don't think, even Quentin Tarantino doesn't like the movie. It turned out very differently than to what he wanted. But there's one movie that he did about Vietnam that I really enjoy, and I think is Tom Cruise's best performance in any movie. And that movie's Born on the 4th of July, based on a book about a guy who survived and had changed his whole view on war. He was very pro-war. He was drafted. Back then, during Vietnam, you were drafted to war, and he lost his legs. And when he came back from the war, he was an advocate to help bring people back from Vietnam, help the people who were tortured, and help them psychologically and physically here in the States. And the movie, what it does well is that it goes through several decades, showing Tom Cruise from a young guy to an older man. The makeup that they did in the movie was really good. And there's a great scene that it's almost like 10 minutes long, but it makes you cry, where Tom Cruise's character is stuck in bed, he can't move, and the nurses don't care about him, they don't care about anybody, and he's trying just to lift himself up, and he can't. So anybody who says that Tom Cruise can't do a character role, they don't know what I'm talking about. He did a great job with this movie. Check it out, it's available on Blu-ray, Born on the 4th of July. If you want to watch a movie that is very accurate to what happened in Vietnam, not just what happened in the war, but what happened after the war, check this movie out. For once, Oliver Stone doesn't exaggerate the truth so much and actually presents a story that's very accurate and very realistic. You know, Mission Impossible Fallout is coming out, and I'm really excited for it. I think all the Mission Impossible movies have something special in them. I think ever since they did Ghost Protocol, they've just gotten better and better and better. And with Fallout, I think they have the director, Chris McQuarrie, coming back, doing a good job that he did with Rogue Nation. So I think it's going to be really good. So these are the top 5 Tom Cruise movies. I'm Best Guy. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that little bell button so you get the notifications on all the great stuff that's here on Dropping Loads. And let me know in the comment section down below if there's a Tom Cruise movie that I didn't get a chance to mention. There's a bunch of Tom Cruise movies out there. Again, if I would mention all of them, this will be top 25. That same thing happened to me when I did the top 5 Van Damme. You know, there's a lot of good movies from a lot of these actors. Also, you can follow me on Instagram. I put a whole bunch of cool stuff there from time to time, not just stuff that I do here on Dropping Loads. I do have a life, you know. At least I want to think I do. Pauly Shore lives. Anyway, guys, and fuck jury duty. Anyway, guys, until next time.